Hello and welcome friends, my name is Sonu Singh and once again you have started watching me to this YouTube video. So today I will talk about the tips and ideas that can help you to improve your English speaking. English speaking is very important in today's scenario because now this is the widely spoken language in our country. Go to any part of the country and you see that people love talking in English language. And it is not because English is being forced, but people realize that now due to globalization, they need to speak English. And one more thing is that in India, people are very much creative. Like English is not just a language for us. When somebody starts speaking English or somebody is learning speaking English, they are always concerned about their level of speaking. Suppose if somebody is speaking English and you try to speak, so instantly both the person will start judging each other's level. And that's the reason that everyone out there, they are trying to scale up their English language. Every time they are doing something so that they can speak better English. If you go to any English speaking country, situations are very normal because they do not care about their level of English because they need one thing, and that is they want to communicate their message. But in India, English has become the status symbol. If you are able to speak good English, people will assume that you are smart. People will assume that you are very much educated. And that's the reason that everyone, irrespective of their background and their level of speaking, everyone is trying to push themselves a little bit so that their English can become better. And that's the reason that we also have this burden that we have to do something so that we can excel our communication skill, we can excel our speaking English. So how can we do this? Well, I'm not talking about sentence making, I'm not talking about translation. When I am making this video, when I'm talking to you, I realize that now I'm talking to people who are able to speak English. They are just looking for improving their spoken English or improving their level of communication. Because merely speaking language is not sufficient. If you suppose have to participate in any process of interview or group discussion so that you can get a better job, you will be competing with so many people. And that's the reason your communication skills should be better because you are always on radar. They are always judging you on the basis of your communication skill. I have observed one thing, that these days there is surge in podcasting videos. If you listen to podcast videos, there are a variety of podcast videos that is available on YouTube or even on Spotify. People are making YouTube videos or people are making podcast videos, and audience or viewers, they love watching it. They love listening it. Why? Because these podcasts cover a wide range of topics and they provide the knowledge in a very convenient manner so that it can easily be understood by the viewers. Suppose you want to speak English or you want to improve your speaking English. And if you listen to the podcast, if you listen to the native speaker, it will be very easy for you to understand that what kind of slang, what kind of words, what kind of sentence they use. And when you become habitual of listening podcast, you will understand exactly that how native speakers interact. And that's what we need. We do not need to go to class and learn translation, because there are so many individuals out there, they do not know the translation, they do not know the grammar, but still they can communicate themselves in English language very clearly. And why does it happen? Because they focus their attention on one thing, and that is they have to communicate. Don't care about the grammar. If you study the grammar, you will always find yourself in dilemma that the sentence that you just spoke or sentence that you just tried to form, was it correct? And you realize that no, the sentence that you just tried, it was not correct. And one incorrect sentence and your whole conversation will be spoiled. Why? Because you will carry the burden of committing mistake in your whole conversation. Someone whose grammar is not good, what will happen? One wrong sentence, he doesn't care. He will keep speaking, and that's the reason that he will have all of his attention on the information. So if you listen to podcasts, you will notice one thing, that the person who is speaking through the podcast, sometimes it happens that they're grammatically not correct, but they do not stay away from the message. You have to stick to the message because message is something that audience wants to listen. It is not your grammar. And grammar is something that will be improved automatically. Like if you process this language, like if you listen to podcasts, if you listen to English speakers, then you realize that slowly you are understanding some slang words, you are understanding some sentence formation. In grammar, it is not possible to make that kind of sentence. Why? Because suppose if you depend on translation, or if you depend on grammar for speaking English, what will happen? You'll try to talk in sentence. And sometimes in conversation it happens that we are not making full sentence. Sometimes we use half sentence, sometimes we just use few words and we convey our message. So if you want to become a that much good and comfortable speaker, you need to achieve that level, and that level can't be achieved just by merely practicing the grammar. You have to speak and you have to listen. Thanks to the podcast, that now if you listen to podcast, that they choose certain subject and that they provide around 30 minutes or 40 minutes or sometimes 1 hour long conversation. And in this conversation, if you focus, if you be attentive, then you will understand that what is the message, what is the context of that video, and slowly you will be familiar with the tonality, with the diction, with the intonation of that person, and that's how you will establish a connection with the podcaster. And in that scenario, whatever he speaks, it will be very easy for you to understand. So if you want to become a good speaker, make sure that you follow native speaker podcaster, because native speakers have their own way of style of speaking. Like that thing can't be available in the classroom. And yes, in classroom you can learn language, but to certain extent. But the kind of language that I am talking here, it's not just a language. It is about communication skill. It means that you can play with that language. Like if you are talking in English, you are not slightest concerned about your grammar or your words or sentence making. Everything is coming naturally to you. And how is it possible to achieve this level of fluency? Only if you make yourself comfortable with the native speakers. I have given the same suggestion to some of my students. So in the beginning, they complained one thing, that's when we listen to the native speakers, it becomes very difficult for us to understand them because their accent is different. Their accent is very fast. So I told them that use earphone, be attentive, try to be attentive. And if you spend your fixed time like 15 minutes or 20 minutes regularly, then you will find out that your ability to understand their accent, your ability to understand their language is improving slowly. Because what happens that suppose if you listen to a native speaker and if there's any problem that you do not understand their language or their message or their accent, your brain will be just shut down. And it will tell you that no, it is not possible to understand this person. So you have to remove this barrier. This is a barrier. So how can you remove this barrier? By consistently listening to them. If you listen to them consistently, you will notice that slowly you are understanding their sentences, their languages, and then words. And once you become comfortable, you will be able to focus even more. And in that case, you will be able to focus on each and every word. And if you do this, only then your brain can process all the language pattern. Because our brain has this ability to understand the pattern that is hidden in the language. Just go anywhere, find out that surrounding, find out that environment, and you will find out that without any homework, without any classes, you understand that language, and slowly you will be able to speak that language. Same is the case with the English. And if you want to improve your English fluency, listen to the podcast, listen to the native speaker, and then try to speak in the same tone. Well, there are so many things that is very helpful and impactful for becoming a fluent speaker. If you follow my videos on YouTube, then you will get so many tips and ideas that how can you become a good speaker. Because I also started my journey from a village by background. Like I was staying in village, there was no environment of English. Then I took admission in spoken English class. So I realized that in spoken English class, they have very traditional approach. Like they depends on translation, they just promote the conversation, but you can improve your English communication or English conversation to some extent. If you want to excel yourself or if you want to become a good English speaker, you have to find out your own path. I'm not saying that now today's situation remains the same, because now it is the era of the technology and online learning. So people are taking the courses from online mode, and every local teacher is being compared with the online teacher. So now the job has become tough, and that's why all the teachers are taking very innovative approach, very unique approach of solving the problem of the students. So just go to the classes, but I'm just saying that you have to follow certain tricks and ideas that can excel you, that can provide you the better opportunity to become one of the best speaker. I hope that you like my conversation, and if you like my conversation, then hit the subscribe button, like and share. Thank you for staying with me. See you next video.